Hello, my name is Paul Kiesling, and I'm the corresponding author on this paper and presentation. And today we'll be giving you a presentation based off of our IAC paper. So one of the essential concepts in our paper is the STEM pipeline. And the STEM pipeline is essentially the process in which students are exposed to STEM education all the way from elementary school up to high school, college, and when they're deciding their career path. This exposure to STEM education inspires students to pursue STEM careers. Prehowever, this pipeline is currently fractured due to the lack of hands-on STEM learning in early years, which leads to a lack of preparedness. This lack of preparedness leads to a faded interest as they cannot easily understand the subjects which they are taught relating to STEM, and that just leads to faded interest overall in the times when they need it most, such as college, when they're deciding what courses they'll major in and what will decide the rest of their life essentially. Only 40% of students who enter college with STEM interests actually finish with a STEM degree. And 45% of college entrants have significant math deficiencies and switch to non-STEM fields even after they've already decided to go into a STEM major. This deficiency is in large part due to the instructional quality of STEM education in middle and high school. Stronger student performance was also known when a hands-on approach was used in the early education of math and science. This isn't an approach which just has to be taken in the later higher education years, but could be started at very early ages in order to develop the students' interest and build their fundamentals in STEM-related fields. The Wolverine CubeSat development team strongly believes in this hands-on approach, as shown when they designed, tested, built, and launched their first ever CubeSat through NASA's CubeSat launch initiative. On the photo to the right, we can see the students of the Wolverine CubeSat development team actually interacting with the object which they're learning about and which they're about to send to space. The CapSat-1 is our next upcoming mission, which we are currently in the building phase. Through our project, we're also able to present and exhibit at various different conferences. And in order to wrap up the whole entire educational experience, we compete in multiple different competitions, specifically specializing in space settlement design. Now here's Maya to talk to you about our policy efforts.
Thank you. Our policy team seeks to educate, communicate, advocate, and legislate on behalf of space policy. It's important that students of the Wolverine CubeSat development team not only are able to do work on our satellites, but also be able to speak about what they do. Students from our school advocate on the local, state, and national level and have attended various events. In the past years, we have attended events such as Florida Space Day in Tallahassee and the Space Exploration Alliance to meet with representatives and senators on behalf of the space industry. In addition to this, we've also called on the White House, NASA headquarters, and all 29 of Florida's congressional offices in Washington, D.C., and we have networked and presented to engineers and professionals at several different conferences. We recognize that what we do at our private school is not necessarily available to students in public schools, and we want to change the way STEM is taught in Florida schools. Our teacher, Ms. Shauna Christensen, has received a grant to provide hands-on experiential STEM training opportunities to public school teachers to connect the industry with academia and for them to become professionals in their respective fields. STEM career pathways are critical in the future, and getting children interested in STEM at a young age is important for the overall growth and betterment of global society. Having a career in STEM will offer numerous opportunities for children in the future, and it will give them a chance to shape the entire world for the better. We want to make these opportunities available to Title I schools, and we hope to utilize ThinSats, which are smaller and more cost-effective than a CubeSat, as a way to engage the students into the STEM field. In addition to the state effort, we worked with Congressman Brian Mast at the federal level, and we contributed to the House Resolution 85, which provides awareness about the CubeSat launch initiative, and it was reintroduced to Congress in January. Our team has been working with the support of his legislative director to gain bipartisan support, not only in Florida, but in other states that have been positively impacted by CubeSats in education. We hope our efforts may be a model for other schools all around the world to approach STEM by incorporating hard with soft skills, because the pipeline needs to be strengthened. It's important our engineers of the future also be the communicators. Now, I'd like to turn it back to Paul to discuss more about this pressing issue.
The theory of experiential learning and hands-on learning has its roots in the progressive educational theory developed by the most significant educational philosopher of his era, John Dewey. In this theory, John Dewey states that students must interact with their environment and learn by doing. This will therefore improve long-term retention of information and future performance for the student. This was shown in a study conducted by Harvard University that showed that students learn more through active participation than in a passive lecture environment. There have been many more studies to support this claim, such as a meta-analysis of 225 studies, which showed that students who did not engage in hands-on learning were 1.5 times more likely to fail. This is represented in graphs A and B to the right. In graph A, we can see that when hands-on learning techniques are employed, the failure rate is significantly decreased in most classes. And in graph B, we can see that classes which use hands-on learning have only a student failure rate of 21.8% compared to the 33.8% failure rate of students who are in a passive lecture environment. The problem of our STEM education pipeline has been recognized for decades, yet our aerospace industry continues to stand at a critical juncture today. As reported by the Space Enterprise Council all the way back in 2006, the lack of hands-on STEM education could be detrimental to accomplishing our future space exploration goals. And in another report all the way back in 2001, the U.S. Commission on National Security compared the threat of failure to manage the STEM education as only second to a weapon of mass destruction. Aerospace succession planning is more important now than ever before due to the graying workforce. In 2018, the aerospace sector generated over $928 billion in economic output and accounted for over 20% of the nation's manufacturing workforce. However, as people in the aerospace sector continue to retire and the education continues to decline, we could be facing a crisis where we don't have the quality workforce needed in order to accomplish our goals and keep this industry having positive impacts. And educating students goes hand in hand with NASA's strategic objective 3.3, which is to engage and inspire students. The fractured STEM pipeline puts the future of the aerospace industry at risk, and it must be addressed at its core. Students must be exposed to hands-on learning from early years. However, this shift must come from policymakers, as new laws and increased funding must be applied to the educational sector. And as shown in the delegate representation theory, policymakers are more likely to act when they hear concerns from those directly affected. This is why the Wolverine CubeSats development team advocates to enact a change. And we also hope to inspire future generations of the aerospace workforce and give access to more education in order to have a more qualified workforce in the future. Thank you.